This is a CBC podcast.
Hi, I'm Carol Off.
And I'm Jeff Douglas.
Listen to the As It Happens podcast for stories from the political to the personal with detours into the peculiar.
And on Fridays, our producers put a little something extra in your feed. The Podcast Extra pulls back the curtain on how we make the show for you. Subscribe at cbc.ca/podcasts.
Welcome to Now or Never, everyone. I'm Trevor Deneen.
And I'm Ifi Chiwetelu, and this week we are in Vancouver.
Okay, so we're in Kerrisdale, and it's a charming neighborhood with a lot of older homes.
Older homes is code for multi-million-dollar homes, and that's exactly the kind of homes that veteran realtor Carol Lieberman specializes in.
This is the one we're going to on the left.
I'm going to pretend that you're showing it for me.
Should I tell them you're the buyer too?
Ooh, let's do it. Yeah.
I won't say anything.
Okay.
You're here for the opening?
Yes, please.
So Carol's been a realtor in Vancouver for almost 30 years. If there was a movie called The Realtor, she would be the star character. She is a Prada-wearing, Tesla-driving, no-nonsense kind of woman.
We're at a condo that is 7 years old, a concrete high-rise, 1 suite per floor, private access from the elevator. It's 2,460 square feet, asking $3,350,000. This would be a lovely purchase, this condo.
And she's right. It would be a lovely purchase for someone willing to part with an arm or a leg. Even the maintenance fees on this place, $1,300 a month, which is more than I'm paying for rent right now. Oh, wow. This is a kitchen. This island is bigger than most beds.
There's built-in speakers.
Stainless steel, everything. So much custom work in this space. And this place is actually on the cheaper end of some of the homes that Carol sells.
People say that Vancouver is a playground for the wealthy, and it's not easy. I lost one last week that was listed for $6.338. We wrote a very strong unconditional offer with $1 million bank draft attached, and we lost it. It sold for $8.8.
I feel like you're just so used to those amounts that you don't even add the million. Just 6.38. In my mind, I was like dollars. $6.38.
We can't be. This is what's happened here. Our prices are so crazy inflated. We just have an extra couple of zeros at the end that scare people. Whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, I don't know. People's places are worth tons of money, and all these neighborhoods, people just want to be in them.
That really sums up and shows you how and why Vancouver is the most expensive and competitive housing market in all of Canada. So this week on Now or Never, Evie and I decided to take a little trip to Vancouver and check out as many neighborhoods as we could.
Yeah, we snooped around homes of all prices and sizes.
Because when it comes to housing, Vancouver is in the midst of a major Now or Never moment. Is it going to be a city with affordable housing, or a city that only the rich can ever afford?
We've got a lot of stories from Vancouverites who are facing their very own personal now or never moments when it comes to finding and keeping their homes.
I think it's a bit nutty, and sort of looking back on the process, I mean, I think there were several times throughout it where we said, this is crazy, why are we doing this?
If I'm not checking Craigslist as much as I can, I'm missing things. Tomorrow is too late. This evening is too late. This afternoon could be too late. In 30 minutes, it could be too late.
We now have 500 square feet, 1 bedroom, $1,710 a month for rent. Gorgeous view of the ocean and the mountains, and 500 square feet. And yeah, this is what we're dealing with right now.
So stick around, because even if you don't live in Vancouver, you probably know someone who does, and you wonder, how do they do it? Or you're thinking of moving there yourself, and you're wondering, how am I going to do it?
We're going to figure it all out today on Now or Never. Hello. Hi.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you? Wow.
Good to see you. Long time. I know.
That's my friend Kate Noyes, who I knew from living in Toronto and doing improv together. Now she's living in Vancouver, or at least trying to. Kate has a housing horror story that's, unfortunately, pretty typical. This is how she posted about it on her Facebook page. Landlady is selling the house we moved into 6 weeks ago. I haven't even finished building the furniture I bought for it. Vancouver is a joke.
We found out we were moving like right after our housewarming party, like right at that second when we were like, I remember leaving this house the day after the party and just feeling like, wow, like so connected, feeling like I'm building community, like all these people came over to this house to like have a good night, and that's what we've created here. And then to just find out.
How did you all find out?
Just by email. Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
This is what's happening.
Yeah. All I remember is it starting with like, there's no easy way to say this, but and then I don't remember the rest.
Aw. For a minute, did you suspend the belief that this would happen and you just were like, no, it's not going to happen here? Or is that always on the back of your mind?
Oh, like when we moved in, we totally never thought this would happen. In fact, actually, the house next door had just been recently sold, and we still, and they were being rent-evicted, and personally, still never thought it would happen to us. I guess we just projected what we wanted onto it, that this would be a long-term thing.
What are your options right now?
There are just not many options to go and see. The vacancy rate is extremely low, and I'd say probably about 40% of the ads that pop up for me when I put in my specifics, like my budget, and I look at location in terms of having a reasonable commute to work. And there's really not much out there to see is the biggest problem. Yeah.
What kind of place are you looking for?
Well, I mean, I would love to live by myself for sure, but I've totally let go of that. So I'm looking for shared.
That's stressful.
Very stressful. Staying on top of emails, and then the pressure of like things are gone in hours on Craigslist, for example. So just always this pressure of if I'm not checking Craigslist as much as I can, I'm missing things. I really am, because, you know, tomorrow, if something good came up, tomorrow is too late. This evening is too late. This afternoon could be too late. In 30 minutes, it could be too late to find that and to act on it. So there's just this constant pressure of feeling like you need to be looking, you need to be working, you need to be doing everything you can possibly do. But I just found myself like burned out.
And what's your budget that you're working with to find a new place?
I really want to not go over $800 because I feel like I'm really paying too much. I mean, of course I am, but it feels really bad and I'm not saving much money. So I'm really hoping to at least take it down a little bit, but not more than 800.
Do you ever look at what that money could get you in other cities just to dream?
For instance, I'd like to go to grad school. So I've been looking at different programs, and I was looking at a program in St. John's, and that got me curious about St. John's, Newfoundland, and especially about the housing there. And yeah, that was pretty hard pill to swallow, like looking at what $800 could get me there, or even what my tiny little down payment that I have, what that could get me there. I could actually purchase a home. I saved a little down payment, and like I really, really want to buy a home. It's really important to me, and I just don't see a way to break the cycle unless I make some really serious sacrifices. So
And your down payment in Vancouver, what could you get with that right now?
Maybe like a parking spot.
Would they let you make a roof over it and maybe live in it? Is that a thing? That's interesting. It sounds like some of the places you can't afford, and then you also can't afford to dream of affording a place.
Yeah. You know, it might sound weird, but I really feel like it's important right now that I don't pretend that this is all okay. But I just take care of myself and just get through one day at a time.
Okay. So what are you hoping happens today?
Today I'm seeing a place where I could potentially live by myself, and then another roommate situation. I hope at least by the end of the day I feel like I'm moving forward. I hope I connect with whoever I meet, and I hope I feel safe and comfortable in whatever space I look at. Yeah.
Which is fair. I think those
Yeah.
are noble things to aim for. Good luck.
Thanks.
You're going to call us back and let us know how some of the viewings go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like she just needs a hug, like just a group collective hug.
Yeah. And I think it's because you're in a situation where there is such a competitive market to find an affordable rental that you are going and looking at places that you might not even be able to afford to turn down, just because by the time you realize it's your last resort, it could be taken by someone else.
My name's Raj Manya. I moved to Vancouver 5 months ago. About a month before we moved out, we went out for 3 days to look for an apartment. So literally for days, we just walked up and down streets and called. We saw 9 apartments in one day, put an application in for 3. Luckily, because I'm a little bit of a fanboy, I was wearing a Batman shirt and I had a R2D2 phone case, and like the landlord is a bit of a fanboy too. He like saw my phone case, he's like, okay, we're gonna push you through. So that worked out, but we are now paying $17.10 a month for rent, and back in Winnipeg, my mortgage was $726. We had a 1,000 square foot house and a fully finished basement. We had a garage, we had a shed, we were on a lot and a half. We now have 500 square feet, 1 bedroom, gorgeous view of the ocean and the mountains, and 500 square feet. Yeah, so we've definitely dipped into our savings to help pay for rent, because we're not, like, between the two of us, we're not making any more. We're basically making it about the exact same as we were in Winnipeg, and just paying a lot more in rent. And yeah, this is what we're dealing with right now.
I'm pretty certain Raj just stopped everyone who was thinking about moving from Winnipeg to Vancouver just like that.
And encourage people in Vancouver to find out the specific tastes of their landlords and try to go in there. Be like, what? This Babysitter's Club shirt? I've always had this. I do own a Babysitter's Club shirt.
We're going to hear more stories of struggle on today's show, but we're also going to feature stories of success. Vancouverites who faced the ultimate housing challenge and managed to find their dream home. I'm going to take you to a place like that right now, in an East Vancouver neighborhood called Kensington Cedar Cottage.
Hello.
Hi, Erica.
Hi. I'll buzz you in, and then you have to take the elevator to the 3rd floor.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay.
That's Erica Stevens-Rennie. Now, she and her family, they live in Vancouver's first ever co-housing building. It looks like a bunch of townhouses. There's 31 units. It's beautifully modern looking. It's 3 stories high. It's painted nice and white with some wood trim all the way around it. And it all centers around this nice little courtyard in the middle. Erica gave me a short tour.
So the courtyard is really kind of the life and heart of our community. Less so during rainy days, maybe. But we're going to walk into it now down the sort of what we call the big stairs.
Okay.
And then you look down here, and on a nice day, you'll see kids scooting and biking. You'll see people sitting out on the benches.
I love the gardens.
Yeah. When we moved in, it was like, bare earth, minimal gardening. And then people were like just taking over. They're in front of their areas.
Now, the way co-housing works is you have your own unit, which is just like any other townhouse unit or condo you might buy. Looks the exact same on the inside. But then on top of that, you have what's called a common house. And the common house in this area is 6,000 square feet. And it's a place where everyone in the community can go, and it has a giant kitchen, a state-of-the-art kitchen. It's got this big room where everyone can go to eat dinners together. It's got a play area for your kids to go to, stocked with toys. It's got a yoga studio. And on top of all that, it's got this balcony that overlooks the mountains. So it's a place where the community can just go and get together and relax. Now you can actually go find photos of this on our website, so you can see what all the fuss is about on cbc.ca/nowOrNever. And of course, Erica has her own unit, as I mentioned, for herself, her husband, Andrew, and their 2 boys. And that was our next tour. Hello there. Hi.
How are you doing?
Trevor, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Do you mind if we do a tour of your home?
Okay, so we came in the front entryway, and the first door on the right is... Whose room is this?
Mine.
Yours.
It's your room?
Jacob's room.
What's in your room?
Toys.
Toys, yeah.
And you said it's 800 square feet here?
It's 850.
850?
850, yeah. And it's small, but I think the height makes it feel...
It feels spacious.
Yeah, I mean, our bedroom's a little small, but it works for us. And
I was building a bridge, but that one can break it.
Okay.
And there's lots of room for toys, obviously,
Yeah.
as you can hear.
Exactly.
So you guys, how long have you been here for?
We moved in at the end of February of this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was your decision? How did you get to the point where you decided to move in here?
Well, we worked for 4 years to actually build the place. So once we were committed to the process of building this with a bunch of other families, we were all in.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with 3 pieces of land side by side, 3 single-family homes, and turned it into these 31 units of housing. So we had just moved to Vancouver from Ottawa, and we were living in a basement suite at the time, and on the radio, actually, there was information about an event about something called co-housing. Erica grew up in a small town. I grew up in the suburbs, and for different reasons, we were looking for more of a village style of living inside the city.
I like that, though. There's not a lot of people that would sit back and say, you know what, I'm looking for this. But instead of really looking, let's just build it.
I think it's a bit nutty, and sort of looking back on the process, I mean, I think there were several times throughout it where we said, this is crazy, why are we doing this? You know, we're risking the savings that we'd made up to this point and some help from our parents to do something that was really uncertain.
Do you mind if I ask how much money you had invested?
Let's call it $100,000.
Yeah, about $100,000 I think we had invested in the project at that point. And that could have all gone south.
So how is it that co-housing stacks up with trying to afford somewhere to live? Is it just as pricey to buy one?
Don't gasp. I know you live in Winnipeg. So over $600,000. But for us, the challenge is like we would have paid that to buy a condo in Vancouver anywhere. So here we got our unit. And additionally, we get this massive community space, which yoga studio, guest rooms for when our family comes to stay, lots of extra sort of community storage downstairs, a kid's playroom, a craft room, right? Like it kind of just goes on and on and on. And then the affordability comes partly when you're living here in the living out of those benefits together. So ad hoc childcare, I don't think I've paid a babysitter since I moved in. We just watch all the time. If you're sick, people watch your kids. If you need to run to the store, people watch your kids. If you have a job interview, people watch your kids. It could go on and on and on. So that's one thing. There are other things. We do 4 community meals a week as a community. We have a rule. You don't have to eat, but you do have to cook and you do have to clean. So about once a month, every member who's older than, is it 13 or 8? 13? Let's say 13 in our community cooks dinner for the whole rest of the community. About 40 people typically show up at those meals. They're $5. And that's something that we really took to heart and that our community really tried to balance. That there's a lot of private space, certainly. Each of our homes, we have private balconies, private front or backyards in some cases. But then there's a whole bunch of semi-private, semi-public, and public areas so that you can have the kinds of interactions with your neighbors that you're seeking and not if you're not seeking them.
So what are some of the struggles then? Because obviously we talk about a lot of the benefits and there's a ton. What are some things that as a community, it must be difficult sometimes?
Sure. I mean, they're kind of the normal big ones, pets and kids being one. Everybody has a different parenting style if they're parents or if they're not parents, and sort of interactions around noise and just the way kids behave in the common courtyard because we're all in this, in this crush space.
Like, why do you think more people don't do this?
It's a lot of hard work. You come home from your job and inevitably there's like something you need to think about or do as a member of the community. So I think more people don't do it because it's a lot of work. But do you want to tell the story about when Jacob moved in and like the differences we noticed in him in the first few weeks of being here?
Yeah, I mean, Jacob, when he was younger, he's just 3.5, but when he was younger, it was pretty clingy and stayed really close to us. And he's gotten to know basically the names of everyone. And I think he was the first person to know everybody's name in co-housing. And so, I mean, it was a bit frustrating at times when he would just kind of run out into the courtyard and yell down, "Hey, Cam, what are you doing? Where are you going? Why?" But that was his way of engaging with the community in a way that was really meaningful for him, and he really does know everyone.
Do you feel lucky that you guys created this, that you guys have this, when you hear about all the people that are struggling?
I really do. I wonder if we're not one of the last generations in Vancouver to be able to afford anything. And the only way that we've been able to do it is because our parents helped us, right? So I'm under no illusion that this isn't kind of a miracle. Yeah, I think it's a scary time economically. I think we're on a bit of an economic precipice, especially here in Vancouver. And my day-to-day life brings me into contact with all kinds of people who live close to the street. And so I'm under no illusion that, anybody could end up there really quickly.
I think sometimes it takes a housing crisis in Vancouver to have some neat ideas start popping up. And co-housing is just one of those ideas. I don't think everyone should live in co-housing, but it's just right for us, and it's right for the people who live here.
If you're just tuning in, first off, shame on you. Secondly, I'm Trevor Deneen.
And I'm Ifi Chiwetelu. And you're listening to Now or Never on CBC Radio 1. Today, we are in Vancouver, a city with skyrocketing housing prices that's leaving many scrambling to find a place that's affordable.
Or at least affordable-ish.
Stress on the ish.
Yeah, big time. My time with the whole Stevens-Rennie family really brings up that issue of community and how important that is in establishing your dream home.
Very true. Home for so many people is more than just about the bricks and mortar. It's about the lifestyle it affords you, the neighbors, the neighborhood. One of those communities is Chinatown. Chinatown is still holding on to a lot of its tradition. That sound you heard was from a lion dance that I got to see performed by local teenagers. There are a lot of long-term residents, though, who are concerned about the gentrification in their community, and they're starting to speak out against it. So I am here at the corner of Columbia and Kiefer Street in Vancouver's Chinatown. I'm here with longtime Chinatown residents Miss Lily Tang, Mrs. Kong, and translator Beverly Ho. What's your connection here?
Chinatown Concern Group, and I'm one of the organizers along with King Wong Chan.
And what are the main concerns for the Chinatown Concern Group?
Mostly with housing and trying to protect the existing businesses that serve the low-income community.
How long did you say she's lived here?
Over 20 years, Mrs. Kong has lived here.
What was Chinatown like when you first moved in?
我啱啱來唐人街嘅時候，好乜嘢都有，有超級市場。
So when I first moved to Chinatown over 20 years ago, it was really great, and everything that I needed was here.
有家庭醫生，都冇使去邊度。
There were a lot of supermarkets, so there was a lot of selection, and so the prices were low as well, and there were a lot of doctors and a lot of Chinese herbal medicine stores, and also barbecue meat shops, and I could just find anything I wanted on like anywhere I went in Chinatown. And now everything's disappearing so quickly. Like a lot of the supermarkets have closed this year, and a lot of family doctors have moved out. A lot of seniors have trouble finding a family doctor that will take them. So it's very disheartening for her. That used to be a supermarket. This is Chinatown Supermarket. It's like one of the biggest, or it was one of the biggest in the neighborhood, and it closed earlier this year, and now it's up for lease. This is one of the last ones left, so there's really not a lot of places to buy groceries anymore.
My first time come to Canada, I walk over there. There's about since 1968.
That was the first place you worked?
Yeah, I first time come from Hong Kong and I walked there. I was waitress. That's a restaurant.
Is it still a restaurant?
No, now they changed to barbecue shop. Yeah.
Look, he's welcoming you with a smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a popular barbecue meat shop. There used to be more along Gore, like Money, but that building's been bought out, so it's pretty likely that they're going to get forced out.
嗰度係學校嚟嘅。哦，嗰個雪糕店啊，5蚊7毫5紙一條雪糕蛋筒啊。
This new ice cream shop that just opened, I think a few weeks or maybe a few months ago. It's $5.75 for one scoop.
What is
ice
cream?
I can't afford to eat that.
Are you worried that in a few years you won't be able to stay in Chinatown?
梗係怕啦，梗係怕啦！而家佢都冇放你華人在內。
Of course I'm scared. This is like such a terrifying future that looms ahead, it looks like. I'm really scared that I won't be able to live in Chinatown, and sometimes when I walk around, I feel really discouraged or I feel really hurt because my home is changing so much.
Chinatown is really changing, but there are some residents who are very committed to keeping the spirit of that community alive. There are events like regular mahjong nights that invite seniors and young people to come and play the game together. There's Cantonese language classes for adults, as well as walking field trips throughout the community to learn more about the history.
Well, I actually had the chance to check out Chinatown as well. I got to stroll through the area. I absolutely loved the beautiful gardens that are there. And we've got a ton of photos of the faces and places of Chinatown on our website. It's cbc.ca/nowOrNever. I'm Trevor Deneen.
And I'm Ifi Chuatilu. And today we are looking at housing in Vancouver, which sometimes is such a hard situation that if you don't laugh about it, you might just cry.
On the last Friday of every month, when folks are usually starting to worry and fret about how they might be able to afford to pay their next rent, there's an event at a club in Vancouver called Rent Check. Now, at this event, folks strip for the chance to win rent money. And we decided to go, check it out.
Welcome to Rent Check. If this is your first rent check, you must strip. That is the rule.
I normally don't ever take my clothes off, but I took off all my clothes.
I think it's really unfair how homeowners can charge their tenants so much rent and then kick them out without no notice. I've had to move houses 4 times in the last year because people have said with a month's notice that they've sold the house, and so we have to get going.
So, I make $70,000 a year, living in the city with a kid and a wife, and I can barely afford housing. I'm not from here. I'm from Kelowna, but I'm still from British Columbia. I have a trade, struggling check to check. The only thing that's going to save the city is Uber. That's it. Second job that's not at McDonald's.
I live in a very expensive condo with a roommate, and I believe that I will always have to have a roommate because it's not affordable to live on my own. And unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to buy anything in this city. I will have to eventually leave.
It's
a little bit absurd, and I just want more answers as to why and a solution. And so my living situation right now is not ideal, but at the same time, it's what I can get. So I think that an event like this, it's a double-edged sword, because it's kind of sad that, we have to have these other outlets to try and find income, and then at the same time, it's kind of fun too, because we're in it together, you know what I mean? Like, we're gonna have to support each other and help each other find places to live.
It's so unaffordable! But don't.
I don't know why, but I'm suddenly overcome with this desire to just Magic Mike my way through the rest of this episode. Yeah.
Well, you can learn a little bit about me. I made a silly video about finding housing in Vancouver, and you can find that on our Facebook at CBC Now or Never.
Honestly, you have to go check this out. It's hilarious. And it also has this really nice cameo.
I'm Ian Hannavancing. We're live here in Vancouver with major breaking news. Really?
Do you know of a one-bedroom?
No, I don't know a one-bed.
Earlier in the show, we met Kate Noyes, who is in the middle of a frantic apartment search. Kate was forced to find a new place after living in a place for only 6 weeks and having her landlord tell her that she's selling the place. Kate's frantically been looking for a place around her $800 budget. She just texted me to say that she saw something, so I'm going to call her and get the scoop.
Hello?
Okay, so Kate, you just walked out of seeing place number 1 for today. What did you see?
Like a newly renovated building, and it's broken up into micro units, super, super tiny little units, and common bathrooms on the floor. So it was small, obviously. They put a loft bed in there for like a single mattress. And there's like a little kitchen counter with a mini fridge, a little bit of shelving, and then just enough room to stand in front of that counter.
Oh, no.
It was hard. Like, it seems like a pretty solitary life, actually. I know I said I wanted to live alone, but like something about it was just a single bed and no room for anything. I'd have to get rid of all my stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it on the short list for you? Or are you crossing this one off?
I don't know if I'm going to totally write it off, but it feels really unlikely.
How much was this micro unit going for?
$750.
Are you feeling pressure to have to seriously submit something for this one?
I am sure that if I want to have a chance, I'll have to apply today. And that might be too late.
How are you feeling about going to the next one?
I don't know. I'm already feeling a little discouraged, I guess.
Well, you might be wondering, is the city of Vancouver actually doing anything about this? The answer is yes. You've likely heard about the new foreign buyer tax, which was introduced earlier this year. Now, it's trying to cool down the city's overheated prices, but there is hope for renters and low-income families as well. Just 2 weeks ago, we attended the groundbreaking ceremony on a very unique project.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started here. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much.
That's Gregor Robertson, the mayor of Vancouver. And he's talking about a new policy that says any new or renovated city building must consider an affordable housing component. Now, that's going to create some pretty interesting combinations, like lofts attached to libraries, or in this case, flats right above firehouses.
Of our new fire hall and affordable housing combo.
It's going to be called Pacific Spirit Terrace, Above the fire trucks and bays, there's going to be apartments specifically for single moms and their families.
So finally, as we've heard, with the help of all of the people here today, Pacific Spirit Terrace will provide deeply affordable homes for single mother families with rents significantly below market. It's very challenging to do, but because of your help, we're able to do that. Thank you all so much.
Now, you might be thinking to yourself, what's going to happen in the middle of the night when the fire bell rings, the fire trucks start revving up, and all of a sudden, out they go, sirens ablazing?
Okay. Well, let the chief answer that. The logistical challenges of having housing on top of a fire hall.
I don't think there'll be any logistical challenges. It's got separate entrances here. Probably the only thing I can say is I think every young boy or girl gets to go and do a fire hall tour when they're young. This will be a much shorter step for the young families there. So, no, we're looking forward to it. We'll try to limit the amount of siren use just pulling out of the fire hall, but we would do that for all of our communities. Thank you.
If you want to hug a firefighter, there's a crew over here.
Now, Vancouver has been an expensive city for a very long time, as we all know. Organizations there, they've tried basically everything from affordable housing built out of shipping containers to projects like the Squatch Eyes Lodge. It's on the edge of the downtown east side, and it combines Indigenous art, boutique hotel with affordable housing. I got a tour.
Let's catch this elevator.
We've got a meeting going on here. This is our smudge room.
It's really interesting because when you first walk into the hotel, you don't notice that it's a hotel at all because you walk into the middle of this beautiful art gallery. And the only thing that says this is a hotel is this little tiny desk at the very front in which people say, "Are you checking in?" So when I walked in there, I started looking around, and it's interesting because it's part boutique hotel, part art gallery, and it's also part subsidized housing for Indigenous artists.
So let's try and look at a suite or two.
Hello, housekeeping.
The beautiful part about it is that every room is decorated with Indigenous art specifically done for the hotel by Indigenous artists.
So did an artist do that and put that on the wall?
Yeah. So this is Jerry Whitehead's suite. Jerry painted this on the wall. But if you step out here, it's a little wet. But
it's the balcony?
Just have a look around.
Oh my gosh. How big is this totem?
The pole, constructed by Kut Wemaluk, also known as Francis Horn Sr., is 40 feet 6 inches high.
That is amazing, just right there on your balcony.
Yeah.
Now, sandwiched between the art gallery and the hotel are floors 2 to 4. And on those floors, you have these specific suites that are set aside for aspiring artists who need an affordable place to live and to work. Now, we're talking $600 below market price. Something people really, really could use. Now, as luck would have it, I met one of them on the very first day she got her keys, and she was moving on in.
My name is Jolene, and I'm a producer of Indigenous fashion shows.
So this is going to be where you're going to be staying?
Yeah, this is where I'm going to be living. It's pretty nice.
So what is your rent going to be here?
I think it's four something, 416, 450. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's I'll have to figure that out very soon. Yeah.
So how did you find out about this place?
I actually worked here about 4 years ago, downstairs in the actual gallery as a social media PR person, and I think my contract ended, and I did like my other thing. I work for another nonprofit, so I went back to that other job and moved far away from here because the rent is sky high, crazy.
Is that why you seriously moved away?
Yeah, it's who can afford like $2,000 a month for like a box? Right?
So you're basically on like day one of your 3-year stay.
Yeah, this is my first day, which is pretty awesome that you caught me at this time. Yeah.
So when do you get your furniture?
Today. I'm hoping today. After I'm done talking to you, I'm hoping to put my bed in, bring my groceries in, put some on the wall. Like, I'm hoping to have all that stuff done by today.
Well, it's going to be great. Well, I wish I was sticking around here long enough to see the place all done up with all your stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm excited.
Well, congrats and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
This is Now or Never on CBC Radio 1. I'm Trevor Deneen.
And I'm Ifi Chiwetelu. And this week, we are in Vancouver. And while you, Trevor, were out exploring some affordable housing solutions, I was with realtor Carol Lieberman, becoming more and more aware of my bank account balance with each passing second.
This area I'm taking you to now, I want you to have a good look here. This is called Olympic Village, which has tons of condos. This was built when we had the Olympics here. And at first it was given a bad rap, that the construction was poor and stuff, but we got over that. And it's very desirable, and it's a real community. I've sold some huge condos in a building here called Canada House, which were over $3 million at the time, and now they're probably $4.5 million.
And Carol, she's like a fairy godmother of real estate. She's matching people with their dream homes. Unlike a fairy godmother, though, sometimes it's for very high prices. But she's been in the business for almost 30 years. And I asked her how much her first Vancouver home cost when she moved here with her family in the 70s.
It was $97,000, and it was a shock to us. We moved here from Winnipeg, and we really could barely afford it. But somehow we got in. We were close to Granville Street, so it was a little more affordable. And we loved that house, and we were in it for 27 years. Next move was we downsized, but we bought a higher price, and we gutted the house. But we're on a very sweet little street with a water view, and it's just perfect for us, and it's appreciating nicely. That's our second. We haven't moved since, and I'm very happy there. We've been in there since December 99.
Do you see yourself staying there forever? Is that a forever home?
It's a forever home unless, God forbid, we couldn't do the stairs, because we have 3 levels. And my husband was convinced we couldn't afford it. And we did a second renovation to the exterior, so we've put a lot of money into it. But it's probably gone up at least 5 or 6 times the value. Our neighbors just sold above $5 million.
So we have someone who's 28, has lived in the city now for 2 years, has amassed a bit of a savings, but says that just looking around, she feels like Vancouver is a city that she will never be able to invest in. Has even actually looked at comparative places and was thinking, with my down payment, I could buy a place in Newfoundland, and that's a possibility. So what do you say to someone who's in that position?
Well, it's definitely hard to get into the market. But, there are some low-priced condos. Somebody reported one in our office last week, a sale, I think it was $149,000 or something. I'm not sure where it was. But it won't be on Vancouver's west side or east side. It might be in Burnaby or Coquitlam if it's on a good transit. But it would just be nice for her to put her money into something and get into the market. And just get in. Maybe she gets into what they call a junior one-bedroom, which is a euphemism for a studio. Maybe it's on a busy street, so she wears earplugs. And you just make it your home, and, you just do a cute little decor, and it doesn't have to be expensive.
So Kate's saying that she feels like she can't invest in Vancouver proper. It sounds like you're agreeing with her.
Well, in Vancouver proper, yeah. She can't buy here in Olympic Village, and she can't buy in Shaughnessy or Point Grey or UBC. That's a fact. Can she buy in the Main Street corridor? Probably not. The area east of Main, between Fraser and Knight, is a bit of a sleeper. And that's going to be gentrified, and that's going to be very valuable. And you can see up and down Fraser, which was always sort of a nothing street, new coffee shops and new restaurants, and everything's cropping up. So that area is coming up. And then further east of that is a commercial drive area. And everybody loves the drive. It's very Italian, it's very charming. That's higher price, but that in-between area, Fraser to Knight, hasn't been discovered yet, or is slowly being discovered.
It's nice to hear someone excited about gentrification.
Yeah. It depends what her expectations are. I often, when I meet clients, I try to size them up as like a prince and princess, or maybe crunchy granola. And sometimes they're in between. And I see people who, if I don't have a walk-in closet and 2 sinks, and I don't have, all the bells and whistles, it's not for me. But I think if she can swing it, she should be buying something.
Okay. Well, it's good to hear your perspective, because I really did feel like, and I still do feel like this is a market that is hard to envision a future in.
If Kate would be just as happy living in another Canadian city as if she doesn't need Vancouver for whatever reasons, she will have an easier time in real estate. There's no two ways about it. But you can go to Squamish, which is starting to get pricey.
If I work in Vancouver and I'm in Squamish, how long am I commuting for?
An hour to an hour and a half.
Each way?
Yeah. But, when I drive around, I'm on my phone almost all the time, hands-free Bluetooth. I do so much business while I'm driving. So if you're sitting, in traffic, you could be talking to people. You could be dictating something. You could make your time worthwhile.
Seems like a whole lifestyle choice, though.
Well, but if you're in New York, do you think you can afford to live in Manhattan? You're probably going to be in one of the suburbs. You're going to ride the train for an hour. It's no different. Vancouver's become a desirable city, and it's pricey. I've had people who buy a house with a basement suite and talk about living in the basement suite for the first 2 years and renting out the main house to get ahead. I've had people who put their kids in the master bedroom so they can put bunk beds and 2 or 3 kids in the master and they can live in a smaller bedroom. I mean, there's all kinds of ways, but maybe people don't want to do those. They have sort of more a sense of entitlement. And even if you live in a condo, downtown, a small condo or a townhouse, people say, I'm going home. You don't say, I'm going condo. That's your home. The image that we have of a house with a little picket fence may not be for everybody for the future. Many cities, Hong Kong, New York, Singapore, they live in condos, and Vancouver may be headed that way.
Well, she's certainly blunt with her advice.
I think that's what 30 years as a real estate agent in Vancouver will do to you. That's Carol Lieberman's advice, but we did ask some people in Vancouver for their advice about finding a place. You can watch that video on our website, cbc.ca/now-or-never.
I want to take a second to ask you about your friend, Kate Noyes.
Mm-hmm.
We've been following her throughout the show, and she's been looking for a place. What's the latest that's going on with that?
Oh, I am glad you asked, because we caught up with her in the middle of her very empty apartment in the process of moving out. To where? Well, you're about to find out.
There's nothing to sit on. I guess.
That's perfect. We'll sit on the floor.
Yeah.
Should I take off my shoes here? So the last time we talked to you, you were still very uncertain about what would happen. You had just seen a place that you did not enjoy. It was like a micro suite with shared bathrooms for the entire floor. And now you're in the middle of moving out. Fill in the blanks. What happened?
Well, I was working all day, and all of a sudden my phone started just blowing up with my friend telling me to get on Facebook right away and get in touch with her friend who had a room available in a house that she thought I would really like. And I went and checked out the house, and I ended up talking to my new roommate for 3 hours and decided overnight that that was the place to go. Yeah. There were at least 20 people that had contacted her that day about the room.
And she had been looking for how long?
She'd put it up that day.
And so she had 20 people in one day just from the Facebook post?
Yeah, I was just able to kind of skip the line a little bit because of the personal connection. Yeah, which just seems like how it's done.
So tell me about the new place.
Yeah, it's a house. There's 5 people living there, including myself. So there's 4 of us on the main floor and 1 person upstairs.
5 people, are they all in bedrooms?
Yeah, yes. There's no weird loft spaces or anything like that. We were in the living room and she was saying, in San Francisco, where she had just been, people would totally wall this off and make it into a bedroom. And I was like, yeah, I'm glad we're not quite there yet as a city, because it's really nice to have one common area for us to hang out in. I mean, I was just relieved that the housing search is over.
When I heard that you found a place, I was so excited for you. There was a part of me that was like, ah, and half expecting you to sort of be like, ah, I did it, because you were so close to having to make some really big decisions.
I mean, I guess there were a few moments where I was a little more elated and like excited, but there's no like, oh my God, this is so great. Like, no, nothing like that. basically is exactly the same as what I'm paying here, which also makes me go like, why then did I have to move? Because the rent is $800 at my new place. Everything seems to be totally on par.
What were you paying here?
$800. I don't know. It evens out, I guess. So I don't know what to say. Like, it's all pretty lame and not fun, and it's a lame situation. And I'm one of the lucky ones for sure. In the end, I did have places I could go if I didn't find anything, and have enough savings that I could put myself in an Airbnb or whatever if for a very, very short amount of time if I had to, like, you know. So I feel really lucky that I don't have to sleep outside or anything.
Does it feel like somewhere you imagine being long term?
It's hard for like just moving into a bedroom of an established home for that to feel long term when you're paying month to month, and there's nothing about it that gives you a sense of permanence at all. I think the best I could hope for is just that I don't have to leave, that I can stay put for as long as I need to.
Are we one of the last guests that are going to be in here?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think I'll have anyone else over, so you get to see my empty, sad house that I'm leaving behind.
But it's good. I'm glad we got to be here as you close the chapter and luckily found a new one to open.
Yeah, and you know, I think I'm going to be happy at my new place. I'll say that much. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for spending so much time with us. Good luck with the move.
Thanks.
That's hard. That's hard to listen to, because there's nothing worse than hearing someone whose relief has been squashed by the realization that around the corner this is all going to happen again.
Yeah, and I think that's the situation so many people in Vancouver are in that it's hard to envision a future in a city when your housing can be precarious if you're renting. Ownership might be out of reach and just continuously getting more and more out of reach. And that's for the ones who are fortunate enough to even be in a position that they can rent and they can buy.
Thanks everyone for listening today. If you have friends or family in Vancouver and you want to share this episode with them, showing off, some of the struggles that people go through, and also some of the people that really enjoy and love the communities they've built in Vancouver, you can go to our website. It's at cbc.ca/nowornever.
This episode was brought to you by the Now or Never team, but we did get a lot of help this week from the friendly people in Vancouver. Thank you to Anne Penman, Chantal Belrichard, and Ian Hannah-Mansing at CBC Vancouver.
Plus Michael Sider, Andrea Reimer, and Diana Herford, and everyone who let us into their homes.
And you're going to want to tune in next week because we have a very special holiday-themed episode.
We're going to hear from Now or Never listeners who are trying to change up the way they do the holidays personally, but they need a little help from us to get it done.
So Trevor and I were going to be barging into your houses, dropping through your chimneys. We're coming to the rescue.
I'm bringing mistletoe with me.
But you carry that with you everywhere.
I know, but people only respect it during the holidays.
We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.